absolutely wild as Verne Gagne's all-star wrestling goes coast to coast and continent to continent. The greatest wrestlers in the world.
He may be an apprentice carpenter, but I guarantee you he is a seasoned ring veteran.
I've been hit with bar stools, bar rags, barmaids.
I'm talking to you.
They're scared that Hulkamania's still running wild. Oh, yeah. I got a big fat wife and 9 kids at home, and I gotta feed them.
And take a look at Jesse the Body in real life.
Open your hand once, if you would.
You want the stick?
This is absolutely unbelievable. Totally, completely out of control.
He's coming in over the top. Hey! Look out!
Okay, look out. Well, we're here, so congratulations, because you're looking out for us, but we are here. We're not coming in over the top rope. I don't even know how we get into the ring at this point, because that's a discussion for another day. But one thing I do know is this is AWA Unleashed, and we are the preeminent podcast dedicated to telling the stories and reliving the memories of what we consider to be the best territory in the history of the wrestling business, the American Wrestling Association. That is why you are here listening to me drone on. But, I don't drone. Mick drones, Joe drones. I guess we'll all drone together. We drone, people groan.
Wow.
That's how we're starting the show?
You got any better ideas?
No. I was going to say the whole watch out thing. We got October coming up. Halloween. You got to watch out for those goblins or the gobbledygooker. That's actually in November. And so,
Oh, my God.
Man.
You pulled out one of the shittiest gimmicks at one of the shittiest times.
You remember the response that got from the live crowd? Oh, my God. You would have thought...
I think people responded more favorably to our podcast than they did to the goblin.
No. Now you're stretching it.
Hey, gotta try and promote,
We have now entered gobbledygooker territory. People, congratulations. We've
wow.
I think we've officially bottomed out. Have we done a show on really bad gimmicks, by the way?
It brings up a good point. I was just going to say, what's a worse gimmick, the gobbledygooker or the Shockmaster?
Oh, gobbledygooker
I think the gobbledygooker, because you had to wear the who was that, Hector Guerrero?
Yeah, and the gobbledygooker, that was an intentional thing. Poor Fred Ottman, that was totally accidental.
That was a stagehand who screwed up by putting an extra 2x4 in the bottom. It was probably Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
I'm thinking, well, you know what? We might as well shut her off now because we lost everybody. They're gone.
But we have to do that worst gimmicks.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that idea.
The gobbledygooker has finally paid off in the wrestling business. When was that? 90, 91? I think that was 1990, Thanksgiving 1990.
Seems like yesterday.
So what? We're 34 years later. And the gimmick has finally paid off. So,
yeah.
Hey, all right, let's get to some business here. Before we get into kind of recapping and giving a thanks to Greg Gagne, let's take care of the business. First of all, guys, it's been a while. I'm going to promote, so just expect me to go ahead and shill. $4.99 a month for our Patreon. I think you guys are really going to love it. I've not heard one bad thing about our Patreon. You get the podcast a day early, which is cool, because, you can brag to your friends. Hey, did you hear what those fuckers said on the podcast? And you can be like, no, it's like, well, you got to wait till tomorrow, but you don't want to give them a spoiler. But what you can get is you get access to our live chats. And by the way, our next live chat, hopefully coming up this Sunday, you guys, we've been asked, about some certain details about the Greg Gagne interview that people want to know. And we will get into that for our members on the live chat coming up this weekend. So there's some certain questions about the Greg Gagne interview that you guys want to know. It's going to be for members only, but $4.99 a month, you can still get in on it this Sunday night. We have our watch-alongs, which are really cool. It's basically us goofing around for, I don't know, an hour-ish, just doing some voiceovers. Think of Mystery Science Theater 3000 meets professional wrestling. So we've got that. You'll get a letter from me along with a magnet and a sticker, just kind of a little thank you. You get access to exclusive interviews. Some of them may or may not be current AWA relevant, but we've got wrestling and AWA adjacent interviews that we've got coming up. So pretty cool stuff. Did I hit all of that correct? Oh, you get a 5-pack pictures from Mick Karch too. So don't think that that's not going to be something.
You absolutely hit it. And I'm thinking about those people that are lucky enough to get the gobbledygooker conversation a day early. God, you won the lottery. There's a selling point.
It's not even an AWA. You can't make it.
I know. See, whenever we venture outside the AWA, we get screwed.
I ain't no good at this wrestling thing.
Oh God!
That gimmick is so bad it transcends all of wrestling.
There you go. There it is.
We are all the gobbledygook. It's like, do you guys ever watch the Walking Dead?
Yes.
Oh, where everybody's like, I'm Negan. I'm the gobbledygooker. I'm the gobbledygooker. We're all the gobbledygooker.
Terrifying.
Oh my God.
Stuff.
I don't even know what we're doing. What
are we doing today?
What else do I have? Oh, T-Public as well.
Oh, yeah.
I have to promote T-Public. Ain't nobody buying no shit. Ain't no wanting no shit. But that's fine because we still got to promote it. tpublic.com if you want to get a coffee mug while you're, watching your gobbledygooker marathon.
That's
the best
right.
of the gooker. I don't even know. $4.99. We got shit there. I don't know. Just go look and figure it out. Okay.
Boy, we know how to put a product over, don't we?
Buy it or don't. I don't fucking care.
Oh
anymore.
my God.
We are the gobbledygooker of podcasts.
There you go. That's right. Yeah, put us back in the egg and seal that shell.
Oh my God. We have gone off the rails so hard today. But you know what? It's been like what? 3 weeks since we've actually done a show, because we did Greg Gagne. We did that in one full chunk and broke it up over 2 weeks. I think this just shows, I mean, honestly, there's so much, and Corrine, one of our loyal listeners, she said that the podcast helped get her through some rough times. And here's the thing, and I was thinking about this, to be completely serious. We are in a spot in our history and time where everything is just so stressful. Everybody's just running hot all the time, for various reasons. If we can be a little bit of an outlet and a step back from reality, if people can enjoy the complete nonsense and gobbledygookerish here, this is what everybody needs, just that outlet to just laugh and just kind of sit back and hit the reset button on themselves mentally and emotionally. I'm very happy that people look at our podcast in a way that it's just an hour that I can just sit back and just kind of put my brain on autopilot. But it's also, you guys, I feel like it's a release for us as well, because we can sit here and we can have fun with things like that. And it's just sitting here cutting up. And if we go on a little ramble about the gobbledygooker, I just feel like this is what makes this podcast so enjoyable, that it's just a break from reality and just able to have some fun at the end of the day, just for an hour a week, just have some fun, and whatever happens.
Absolutely. And, to your point about Corrine, God bless her. She is such a loyal viewer. And when I read that message, that post on Facebook, Chris, like you did, I mean, that really warmed the heart. So
it made me very happy. That's one of the best things, because it's about building that community, and if people look forward to it, and if what we do makes them happy, then that's great.
there we go.
That's what I want.
Absolutely. Elapsed time 35 minutes. 30.
Gobbledygook.
All right, are we ready to do a show, or
Yeah, let's.
I thought we were done.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we
All right.
are.
Okay,
We might be after
we're
this,
done.
but
We're done. Cancel me, bitch.
Question number one.
No, I
Oh.
want to thank Greg Gagne first of all
Yes,
for his
absolutely.
time. Who's sending me a private chat? Oh, check my text. Okay. Why?
so much for it being private.
Oh, okay. Got it. Sorry. So I do want to thank Greg Gagne, because Greg Gagne, when we started doing the show, he's probably the most requested guest that we've had. And I know that there are some people that are not fans of Greg. I can totally understand if it's not your thing, but I feel like Greg Gagne, to me, I had high expectations, and regardless of what you think of him, my opinion of him didn't change. I felt like we got a very relaxed, and a very open Greg Gagne. And I want to thank Greg for that, because this was one that we've been working on for a while. Yeah, it was coincidence that we had the case for Greg Gagne and we just happened to work out. But I thought that it was I think it was about as good as it could be. And I thank Greg for his time, because we don't get time from everybody that we ask.
Right. That's right. And again, we'll talk more about it, for the Patreon folks, kind of the behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, thank you to Greg Gagne. I thought it was a great interview, and he's a good guy. He's a good guy. And I liked the Greg Gagne that we saw and heard. And yeah, excellent. And the numbers reflected. He got a lot of hits, a lot of views, a lot of downloads. And thank you, Greg. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and for those that are bad mouthing and saying they don't like Greg, why'd we have him on, or anything negative, don't watch.
That's exactly right.
It's like, are you that miserable that you're going to watch an hour or 2 hours of something that you don't want to watch?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
But we do have people, and I think people do it here with the podcast, but I know with my full-time job with the people hate listen. Like, people listen just so they can say they hate you. I mean, we get that all the time. I mean, and I think people just hate watch and hate listen now. So if you hate watch us, great. Hate like us. Hate subscribe. Hate join. I don't care. Just join, listen, subscribe.
And right now there are our viewers who have gone to the 5-minute mark to get past the introductions. Oh shit, it's still on. The 10-minute mark. Oh shit, introductions, it's still on. Well, you know what? We're approaching the 14th minute and we're still talking shit.
We've been planning this 60-minute Broadway for a long time. And
this is the Larry. I was going to say this is the Larry Zabisco podcast opens.
That's right. All right, we got a Q&A today, I think.
We do, yes. And again, just trying to have some fun, you guys. I mean, lighten the fuck up. Okay. All right, question. First couple here are from my buddy Brady Norby from Hinckley. The first one, guys, he says he remembers there being an AWA clip type show on Saturdays in the late 90s in Minnesota, kind of like a Where Are They Now, with matches and promos, then catching up with whatever wrestler had the spotlight. He says he thought there was an episode on the East-West connection after Jesse became governor and the piece on the Baron from his gift shop in Lake George. Is he remember that correctly? And if so, are those on YouTube? Does WWE own those? Is there anything AWA related that WWE does not own? I know this has been a question that people have been asking, and I think that Joe, I think this is probably a lot up your alley.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, Brady, you are correct. There were 13 half-hour episodes. It was in, let's see, late 90. Actually, it was the beginning of 2000, first quarter of 2000. Verne Gagne had contacted me about reviving the library. We had a sponsor that would pay for the production to do these half-hour shows, and every show was specific to a wrestler or a tag team, and that led to the first pay-per-view that we did, Best of AWA Classic Wrestling Volume 1 in May of 2000. As far as the WWE, yep, they own the AWA lock, stock, and barrel. As far as the shows go, I'm sure they're on YouTube someplace. I'm pretty sure I have a copy of each of them. We might have to add that into our live watch-along rotation. I'll have to look for those and dig them up. But I do want to comment about the gift shop in Lake George. I did go up there. I did interview Baron and Mrs. Claw. And I bring it up because still to this day, I rave about the chicken wild rice soup that Bonnie made that day. She made us a nice little lunch after the interview, and spectacular. Second best chicken wild rice soup I ever had, next to my mother-in-law's. Brownie points there, by the way. But yeah,
Brady, depth perception.
Exactly. But yeah, Brady, those half-hour shows did exist, and they were fun to do. And I got to say, that was the launching pad to what ended up being the eventual sale of the AWA in March of 2003.
And as Baron talked about that, his gift shop, the Wigwam, remember his slogan, if you don't need it, we have it.
And he was right.
Yeah. So.
It's like that place up in Royalton, driving up Highway 10, Treasure City. Nothing but shit that you're going to, if you don't want to go in there with a small child, because you're going to spend $20 on a bunch of shit that's either going to break or be thrown away within, I don't know, a day.
They have my career on sale up there? Are you kidding me?
On a discount still.
Oh, God. Put on the red tape clearance. Carter's career. 90% off. Jesus. God. Especially after this podcast. Is there a part 2 to Brady's question?
I don't even know anymore.
I know.
Yeah, here's another one from Brady. With the rich history of professional wrestling in Minnesota, has there ever been any talks about a brick and mortar museum that you know of, something like in Waterloo maybe? We have the Minnesota Wrestling Hall of Fame, but there has to be plenty of artifacts out there, and guys that are still with us would like to see, if not a permanent brick and mortar, maybe some sort of a special temporary presentation in conjunction with an independent show. Yeah, that's a good question. I have not seen one.
There is not one. The Minnesota Wrestling Hall of Fame and some of our admins are involved in the Hall of Fame, and Carol Castle is involved in the Wrestling Hall of Fame in Minnesota. Started a handful of years ago, and they actually had a temporary location at I believe it was a library or something, some such thing in Robbinsdale, Minnesota, which would have been logical because of all the talent that came out of Robbinsdale. Mm-hmm. But really, no, there is no brick and mortar Minnesota Wrestling Hall of Fame. I've got my own thoughts on that whole situation. I think that there's room for something like that. I think it would be a tourist attraction, certainly here in this state. Whether or not that is going to ever happen, I don't know. I thought long time ago about getting involved in something like that, but I don't want the headache. But certainly, as far as the legacy of the wrestlers in Minnesota, to have a Hall of Fame, what better place, what better state than this? With the history of the Verne Gagne trainees and everybody that went on to everywhere else in the business. But sadly, no, the closest one right now is in Waterloo. And of course, we've extolled the virtues of Waterloo incessantly. So if something changes, we'll let you know.
I've always thought doing an AWA themed bar would be good. At least you've got the bar option, and then you have just a whole shit ton of AWA memorabilia, have a little mini wrestling ring in there, that type of thing. Something like that might work. But a museum itself, I would love it. I don't see it happening. But put it into a bar, then that'd be great. I could finally go to a bar for the first time in my life.
Good for you, Joe. I'm so glad. Congratulations on your sobriety. This is for me from Jack Vangnes, longtime viewer from Denver. Love your show. Would there any chance of getting Jimmy Garvin or Michael Hayes on the podcast? I think Jimmy Garvin would be. I know Michael Hayes with his WWE obligations probably not likely, but I mean I think Jimmy Garvin would be great. We haven't had him on yet, but it's not my fault.
I would love to get Jimmy Garvin on. Chris, have you got that? Photograph? The recent photograph.
Do I have the photograph? What do you think what do you think I do over here?
Well,
we wonder.
There you go. What a shot that is. In the middle, that is Miranda Gordy, the daughter of the late Terry Bam Bam Gordy. Of course, to our right is Michael Hayes. And yes, that's gorgeous Jimmy Garvin, ladies and gentlemen. And it still is not his fault. And I love the positioning of this picture where you see the current Jimmy and just over his shoulder, the 1980s Jimmy Garvin. So he would be a great guest. No question about it. What a personality. I hear he's a terrific guy away from the ring. So, yeah, you never know.
Nice to see that he's still taking part in some wrestling conventions or shows and events. Some guys just shy away from it. That's fine, but always good to see the older wrestlers still be involved. Good,
very much so. Yep.
All right, let's get to the next one from Rosie Schilling. Said used to love watching Buddy Rose and Sherry Martel in the AWA. Had they worked together before, or was this the first time when they were in the AWA?
Well, it depends on how you define working together. Chris, I know you've got another photograph here.
Oh, I don't want to think about it that way.
There you go.
Is there something behind? Is there something going on that I don't know about, that I don't want to know about, that you're going to tell me?
No,
okay, good.
There's nothing going on. If longtime fans will remember, Buddy Rose's run in the World Wrestling Federation, and he would come out to the ring with valets. I don't know where they got all the valets, but I know that Sherry initially was one of them. And to my understanding, that was the first kind of interaction between Buddy and Sherry. So this goes back to the early 1980s. And then, of course, when you go to the AWA, 4 or 5 years later, absolute magic. There are those who would say that Sherry Martel made the tag team of Buddy Rose and Doug Summers. And there you have it, an early photo of our late friend Paul Pershman, Buddy Rose, and our late friend, God, I hate to say that, Sherry Martel.
I see that photo, and I can't believe that it was 30, almost 40 years ago.
Yeah, 40 years.
Where they would be doing an interview, and I'm either behind the camera or directing it. I can't. That 39. In fact, October 7th will be the 39th anniversary of my starting with the AWA.
God.
39 years. I was a young 20-year-old kid. Holy shit.
Look at Buddy and Sherry there. I think, and sad to say, Buddy, of course, probably put on another 150 pounds after this picture was taken. And, we all know how things turned out for Sherry, but they were great friends. God, I love both of them. And great question. Thank you.
So hold on. Another 150 pounds? So he only weighed 67 pounds before that?
Lean into the bit.
Oh, I just see what you did there. I was like 60 and 150. Well, that's good. Lean, mean 217. I got it.
Yeah. Next question.
Math isn't my strong point, especially this early in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. From Kevin Fornell at Cambridge. This is for you, Joe. And this kind of can piggyback off of what we were talking with the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame and Robbinsdale. I've heard a few times reference on the pod about the issues you have with Barry Darsaw. Is this legit or a storyline?
Okay. There is no issue between Barry and I.
Not from your point of view.
For those of you that didn't see the episode and have, maybe heard comments about it, during a podcast, I asked Barry what his thoughts were about Demolition.
Oh, look at Barry. Look at
being
him.
compared to the Road Warriors and, the similarities. And he went off, and it was not legit, but
that's what you
he went off and, what do you mean? What do you mean? And so it's not legit heat. Barry and I are just fine. As far as I know.
Truth of the matter is, there is no issue between Joe and Barry Darso. As a matter of fact, I asked Barry one time, I said, what would happen if you got into a fight with Joe Chubik? And he says, that's not an issue. That's kind of so that, no question about it.
Have you asked Joe that question? What would happen if you got into a fight with
Yeah, and Chris,
you
and I have talked about this, Chris. He called him a fake Road Warrior. I mean, he basically buried him. He said that, Barry was the only wrestler out of Robbinsdale that didn't make it. I mean, seriously. I mean, he's, there you go.
There's a reason he wasn't AWA material. Verne Gagne.
That's what he said.
He was overrated. So.
Joe said that.
Yeah, he called him a poser at one point too. I mean, that's what
he did. He did. And in case Barry did not hear those comments, we'll make sure he sees this episode.
28-minute mark. 28-minute mark.
So on to the next pile of bullshit. question.
Yeah.
This is from Eugene Peterson. And Eugene, I'm sorry that Joe called you a piece of shit. Or your question.
I am the heel podcaster.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Love what you guys do. Well, probably not after this question. To keep the AWA alive, distinctly remember way back in the 70s that Verne Gagne had some kind of an injury and wrestled in a collegiate type headgear. Any insight?
Well, naturally, you go to the old fart for the insight, and the memory is kind of fuzzy, but I recall that it involved Bobby Duncombe, and Verne maintained that he had an ear injury, and he would get into the ring, and again, I believe it was Bobby Duncombe. Don't jump all over my ass if it wasn't, but there's Verne. Getting into the ring. No, that's not a toothache. No, he didn't just come from the dentist's office. Verne got into the ring and wrestled with that headgear, that collegiate headgear. And
looks like a jockstrap that's been ripped open.
In knowing the AWA budget, it's very possible. It does say bike on the back of that headgear, but nonetheless, there's old Vernsky, and if you look back in the record books, I believe the feud was with Bobby Duncombe, and I think Verne wound up taking that headset off. It was an ear injury, as I recall, and Verne wound up taking the headset off and either shoving it down Bobby Duncombe's throat or choking him with it or something like that. But yeah, you are absolutely right that there's Vernsky and the and the headpiece.
For those that had the privilege, honor, or just happenstance of meeting Verne, I think he'd agree with me when I say that Verne probably should have been wearing a headgear earlier in his amateur wrestling career. He had cauliflower ears, and if you don't know what that is, just do an internet search. It happens. It happened a lot with amateur wrestlers back in the day before they were wearing headgear, and both of their ears, it looks like cauliflower.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
How he could hear, I have no idea because it was closed up. But
well, clearly he heard well enough later on in life that he heard an announcement in Las Vegas about the Midnight Rockers. So whatever, hearing was just fine. Next question.
Yes, this is for you, Mick, from kayfabe Kenny Greer. He knows it's
kayfabe. What's that?
I was reading the question. All of a sudden I heard a
yeah.
I was like, I don't even know what to.
What does kayfabe Kenny want to know?
Kayfabe Kenny Greer. He knows that Sergeant Slaughter was one of the super destroyers managed back in the day by Lord Alfred. I believe he was the second version. Who was the first? And do you have any pictures of him?
We do, and we've talked about this a few times on the show. The first super destroyer to come into the AWA under the management of Lord Alfred Hayes was none other than Don Jardine. And Don had worked extensively as the spoiler. There is a picture of Don, one of the legit tough guys. I have heard this many times over the years in the business. He was a no-nonsense guy. He wrestled as a mask spoiler all over the world into Japan. I couldn't wrestle with the mask when he went to Madison Square Garden because at the time, masked wrestlers were not allowed by the New York State Athletic Commission. So he wrestled as the spoiler without the mask. Here in the AWA.
Well, how does that work? Like, okay.
Yeah,
I had no idea. I had no idea that MSG did not at that point with the New York State Athletic Commission that they didn't allow masks.
They did not. And I forget. I'm going to guess this is probably early 70s, give or take.
Okay.
And when Don Jardine came to the AWA as a super destroyer, Verne wanted him to unmask pretty quickly early on in a match with Verne Gagne. I believe this was in Iowa or Wisconsin.
Oh, surprise. Verne wanted to get to take mask off.
Yeah, Don, not only did he not want to unmask, but he didn't want to do it so quickly, and he thought he was kind of being shit-canned. And he 86 the AWA. He was gone, and the call went out to Bob Remus, Sergeant Slaughter, to come in and be Super Destroyer Mark II. But one of the greats, if not one of the top 2 or 3 greatest masked men in the history of wrestling, Don Jardine.
I really couldn't wait until one of them got unmasked finally. That's how simple wrestling was back in the day.
Yeah.
As fans, you were just pining to see who was under that mask.
Maybe it was somebody that you knew. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it was so and so.
It's interesting too when Super Destroyer Mark II, before he was unmasked here, he was unmasked in other towns, and they were calling him Matt Burns. That's the name they gave him, and that's why Lord Alfred a lot of times in public would refer to him as Matthew. When people would see him without the mask, they were kind of kayfabing it. But I don't recall if they ever actually said, this is Bob Remus when he took the mask off. I think the AWA just basically said, here he is. He's got his mask off now. I don't remember them actually identifying him as Bob Remus. But again, memory's a little bit fuzzy. But yeah, Don Jardine, number 1, Bob Remus, number 2, and Neil Gway was Mark III in the AWA.
Good times.
So much simpler back then.
Yep.
Much simpler. Man, just imagine if they would have unmasked the gobbledygooker. That would have been over. From Terry Lee Stark, this is for you guys. My brother insists that when Jerry Fatwell first came to the AWA, he wrestled as Hillbilly Jerry and was a good guy. He calls BS. What say you?
Well, you're close. You're 2/3 there. He was a good guy and he was Jerry, but he was not Hillbilly. He was Farmer Blackwell when he first came into the AWA, and the intention was to get him over as a babyface. Look at that. Look at that head of hair on Jerry Blackwell. That's got to be early on. Jerry came in again with the intention of making him a babyface, kind of a Haystacks Calhoun, Uncle Elmer, whatever kind of
Silo Sam sort of guy.
So anyway, it kind of farted from the get-go. For whatever reason, either the fans didn't take to it or Jerry didn't take to it.
Did you use farted as a verb? You just uses the word fart. You just use it. The word farted as a verb.
I use it, yes. But Jerry, thank God that Jerry Blackwell, at least at that time, turned full-fledged heel. One of the great heels in AWA history. In my opinion, one of the greatest big men ever to lace up the boots. And of course, when Jerry finally turned babyface in 1984, Joe, we've talked about it, one of the biggest, if not the biggest pops I've ever heard at a wrestling show.
My favorite heel turn in AWA history. The one thing I want to comment about Jerry, I've said it on this podcast before. And as I read the question initially, I saw and he wrestled and was a good guy. In real life, Jerry Blackwell was as nice of a human being as I've ever met. A Southern gentleman with, I believe he ended up with like an 8th grade education only. But what you saw in the heel Jerry Blackwell was as far from what he was in real life.
Yeah.
He was polite. Yes, ma'am. He was courteous. I cannot say enough things about how nice of a gentleman Jerry Blackwell was.
Your prototypical Southern gentleman, Jerry Blackwell, no doubt. What a great guy, great talent.
I'm sorry that I came in at a time that I missed a lot of this, and I just get the bits and pieces, but I get the stories from you guys, and it makes me appreciate guys like him even more. You know what I mean? And I feel like I missed something by not knowing a guy like Jerry Blackwell or a guy like Nick Bockwinkel I feel like
you missed a lot. Yeah, no question. Well, we'll try to fill in the gaps, buddy.
Yeah, that's what I appreciate this podcast, is that I can lean on you guys to kind of help keep those memories alive of the experiences that you had. This is for you, Mick, from Donnie Wallenberg. Not Donnie Wahlberg, Donnie Wallenberg. I almost said he's a new kid on the block, huh? But no, it's Don Wallenberg. You mentioned a couple of times in the pod that many of the guys you used to see Cauliflower Alley have now passed away, and that many of the attendees are indie guys. I think that it's really sad. So many of the heroes are gone. I had no idea that this was the next question based on kind of the following up on the last one. Do you have any particular picture you might share of the old reunions where some AWA alums got together? You guys are an amazing collective. Well, thank you for saying that before this episode. Hopefully you still feel the same way. If you don't, I understand. Guys, I'll let you guys go ahead and speak to this.
First of all, I've said many times, the first Cauliflower I went to was in 2000, and everybody was there. Kid in the candy store. I'm looking around, and honest to God, I just thought this is wrestling fans' old school heaven here. And over the years, systematically, one by one, the older guys, the older veterans passed away. And it has kind of transitioned. You'll still get your, maybe 1990s, early 2000s stars to show up, like Sting, for example. but the old guard is gone. And this picture exemplifies how great it was. That to the left is Red Bastien. To the next gentleman is John Tolos, then Ray the Crippler Stevens, and Killer Kowalski. And if you're a wrestling aficionado or you want to know who the all-time greats were in wrestling, that picture, you have 4 legitimate, absolute superstars, legends in the wrestling business. And they're all in the room at the same time. And I don't know the year on that, but I'm telling you, you get this picture, you get this snapshot, and that doesn't say anything about who else is in the room, whether it's your Nick Bockwinkles, your Pompero Furpos, the Vachons, Crusher. It was absolutely amazing. So when I go back to Cauliflower, as close as you get to the old guard are the pictures, the posters of the old guys that were there back in the day. And, granted, it's 25 years ago, and most of these guys at this point will be pushing 90 years old anyway. But again, and they all wrestled in the AWA, these guys at one time or another. Red Bastien, John Tolos, Ray Stevens, and Killer Kowalski. Legends.
I have to comment, when this picture first popped up, I had to stop and think who the third guy from the left was, because I had never seen Ray with dark hair. Now, I don't know if that was his natural hair color, or if he dyed it dark. Ray passed away, what was he, 61?
61.
So he would have, I would have guessed he would have had some grays, but I'm guessing that was what, before the grays started popping in, his natural hair color was. But to see Ray the Crippler Stevens in anything but that bleach blonde white hair, surprised and shocked me to a bit. It's man.
Yeah, same here. I didn't recognize him at first either, Joe. I'm the exact same thing. I'm like, it kind of looked like, but yeah, I didn't piece it together as well.
That was his natural hair color. As a matter of fact, even when he was teaming with Nick a couple of times, he would go back to that darker hair color. Killer Kowalski on the far right there, that's a rug that Killer is wearing. He was kind of balding for many, many years, the old Walter Kowalski. But again, when you talk about the history of wrestling, God, I can't emphasize it enough. Damn it. I just long for these days. And you've got 4 superstars there, folks. Thank you for the question.
Mick, we'll have to dig up some photos from Kenny J's fundraiser that he had for many years. Because while Cauliflower Alley had a lot of the legends, the Kenny J was all AWA.
Yes.
And I know you've got pictures. I attended several of them. I've got pictures. We might have to do a special podcast just on the...
Great idea, Joe.
That would be, that would be cool. Let's do it for the Patreon.
Perfect.
For the Patreon. Yeah.
Mick, you did a couple of interviews and I recorded them. I remember doing that. We'll have to dig in and see if we have those.
Interviewed Brunsey, interviewed the Baron, at the Kenny J functions. Dr. X, of course, came in on his own dime every year from Buffalo, New York, because he loved Kenny J's.
Yeah, if you guys have all of that, let's piece it together and do a Patreon just on the Kenny J's events, his fundraisers.
Perfect.
That sounds good.
That would be pretty cool. Here's one from Dave Pomerantz. For Mick and Joe, he lives in Kansas City. Beg to differ with your assessment of Bulldog Bob Brown. He was a big-time player there for many years. He wrestled with and against some of the best. Show a little love for the Bulldog.
Okay. We'll show a little love for the Bulldog, and I know the picture that we've got coming up is going to kind of emphasize, yes, Bulldog Bob Brown was a big-time guy. And that doesn't get any bigger than Bob Brown teaming up with Harley Race.
I mean, that's Kansas. There's nobody more Kansas City than Harley Race either.
No, absolutely. This is the Central States territory. And, we denigrate Bob Brown on the basis of one match.
One match.
that horrific, oh God, match against Giant Baba at Wrestle Rock. But I saw Bob Brown wrestle Bruiser Brody up in Winnipeg. Bob Brown was a little guy. You know, he was probably about 5'8", you know, built like a brick shit house. But he, you know, held his own. He brawled with Bruiser. And here he is teaming up with Harley Race. Bob and Texas Bob Geigel in the Central States area were big-time stuff. And, you know, we make fun of Bulldog Bob Brown. He was never the flashiest guy in the world, old school to a fault. But I absolutely agree with you. We're going to give the devil his due. He was over, no question.
Yeah, Dave, and I know we've said it many times on the podcast, maybe taking a shot at Bulldog Bob Brown, but what Mick said, it's that one match at Wrestle Rock against the Giant Baba. Take a look at it, and atrocious.
Yeah.
One match does not make a career, and Bulldog Bob Brown is a Central States legend.
Yes.
Deserves love from all classic wrestling fans. He deserves his due and his place in the business. But you can't get past that match at Wrestle Rock. It was atrocious. It was the gobbledygooker of wrestlers, of wrestling matches.
I think it's the hangnail on the finger of wrestling. Bulldog Bob Brown and Giant Baba. But again, Bob Brown, who when he came into the AWA initially was Bill Green. And somebody a long time ago said not only did he change his name, he changed his color. And so, yeah, Bill Green, Bulldog Bob Brown. But yeah, kudos to the late Bulldog.
Yeah, that match was awful. I didn't see a lot of them. The first time that I really heard about Bob Brown was from two guys that know wrestling and that I respect their opinions on wrestling from Canada, Don Callis and Lance Storm. And they both talk very glowingly of Bulldog Bob Brown. So if Bob Brown has the respect of those two guys, I'm always going to give him the benefit of a doubt. But yeah, you talk about the Giant Baba match. I mean, it's less than gobbledygooker-esque. Let me say that.
Yeah.
From Richard Taliber, this is for everybody. As a lifelong resident of Chicago, how well he remembers the outrageous Chicago promoter, pitchman Bob Lucy. Such a character. Do you have any access to more of those sensationalistic programs he used to sell at the amphitheater carts?
We have shown some of the Bob Luce programs. You talk about a carny.
Oh, Luce, like my ex-wife.
Oh, boy.
Sorry.
Wow. At any rate, wrong photo. We should have another one up there, but there should be another.
Hold on.
See if you have it there.
Sorry, yeah, that was number 10. That's what I get for taking a pot shot for 20 plus years ago.
Is it up there? Is the
I don't know.
Program photo up there?
I'm the producer. What do I know?
There it is. There it is right there. Now,
there's a lot going on.
Bob Luce, with all due respect to Bob, he would have a tendency to do a little hyperbole, go a little bit over the top, refer to guys as legitimate killers, murderers, axe murderers, paid assassins, what have you. But here he's talking about the referee having to go into the ring with a blackjack and mace in order to handle business and handle some of the guys that were kind of getting out of hand a little bit. Nobody ever accused Bob Luce of understating anything. He was, people who live in the Twin Cities area will remember a guy named Mel Jazz. Mel Jazz was a TV pitchman for many, many years, and that's what he was known for. People loved him for it, way over the top. Bob Luce, next to the word carny in the dictionary, you've got Bob Luce. Blackjack and Mace, who sounds like a tag team on the independent scene.
It really does.
Yeah. But yeah, Bob Luce in Chicago, nobody like him, but God rest his soul, he filled that amphitheater time and time and time again. There you have it.
All right, let's go to number 10 here. And I just kind of gave it away with the graphic, but from the real luchador. Thank you, real luchador. I was worried that was the fake luchador.
Yeah.
Did Nick Bockwinkel ever defend his title against Andre the Giant?
Yeah.
He won.
He did.
So what did you? How do you say that?
Yeah. He did.
You got to give me more than that.
No, that's about what the match gave. At least I don't know if they wrestle. I'm guessing they wrestled around the horn, but here in the Twin Cities, they wrestled, and they went to a 60-minute Broadway. And I'm sure
really
that
Andre worked at Broadway.
Well, let me explain why. I don't think I know that obviously was the designated finish, ahead of time. Andre was hurt early on in the match. I believe he went into the turnbuckle and had a legitimate back injury. So for the next 50 odd minutes, and they were odd, Andre basically, you had a 600-pound guy laying across Nick Bockwinkel. Nick did the best that he could to keep the crowd into the match, but even the fans, they were just like, what are we doing here? And when the bell rang for the 60-minute time limit, it seemed like 60 days. And I've said it was probably, if not the worst, one of the worst main events I've ever seen. No fault of Andre's, Andre is Andre. I'm not sure the match would have been a scientific blockbuster anyway, but he got hurt and literally couldn't do anything for 1 hour.
I would have to guess that the 1 hour time limit draw was the El Darusha 45-minute ringing the bell.
I was thinking about that, and fans probably wouldn't have been upset.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I can sort of understand going to a time limit draw. Sadly, Andre did get hurt, but you're not going to put the belt on Andre.
Right.
You don't want Andre to lose because he's, Andre. The whole disqualification thing had been done over and over and over, and add on another 10,000 overs. So, I mean, I get what they were trying to do. But in all honesty, even in Andre's prime, I don't want to watch a 60-minute match with Andre. He's not going to be able to carry 60 minutes.
Well, that would be my thought too, Joe. Maybe the best thing that happened to Andre to get him through that 60 minutes was that he got hurt and couldn't do anything. Because how can Andre the Giant not get blown up in a 60-minute match, especially with a guy like Nick? I mean, the picture of
cardio
and cardio, yeah. So it was not a good match. Of course, you had the big hype, match of the century, Bockwinkel and Andre the Giant, but no, it just
and keep something else in mind. Fans are maybe thinking of the 80s version of Andre, the larger, bloated version. Go take a look at the 1976 version of Andre, and he didn't have the cognac beer, 20 Big Mac belly, and so forth. I mean, Andre was a lean, mean fighting machine back in the day, and so he might have been able to go. I'm going to call it 45, still not an hour. But, yeah, sadly got hurt, and that match was the gobbledygooker of 1976.
It seems like that was just it's just bad booking of Andre there. Then, I mean, I don't, and again, it's like nothing against Andre, but Andre was a special attraction. Like Andre was, what they call him, the eighth wonder of the world. I mean, there's a reason why Andre the Giant was such an iconic figure. You got to protect the image, right? You got to protect Andre.
You see Rick Martel going 60 minutes. You see Kurt Hennig going 60 minutes.
Yes.
Or Tito Santana, but not Andre.
Not Andre. Yeah.
Yeah. You just, not a lot of thought went into that one.
We have a few more, but let's carry those over. Let's go to the very last one here, guys.
Yeah.
So, from the foreign object, probably
that Otto Vance?
I don't know. It doesn't say where they're from. Maybe they're from the junk drawer where everybody keeps their foreign objects. I'd like to ask this of all three of you: if the late great Mad Dog Vachon hadn't gotten into wrestling, what profession do you think he would have excelled at? Do you want first crack at this, Mick?
No. Why don't you give me last crack at it?
Oh, okay. Well, I was.
Yeah, you give me last crack at it because I have an idea.
Okay. Am I going to steal your idea, or is Joe going to steal your idea?
I hope not.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, well, I mean, the easiest answer would be to say that he would have been an apprentice carpenter, but I'm gonna go with dog catcher.
Oh, good.
Okay.
No, he knows the ropes, pun intended, on how to be a dog and think like a dog and smell like a dog and certainly stretch people's mouths out to look like a dog. So woof woof to Mad Dog being the local dog catcher. I'd have voted for him.
I think he would have been a great orthodontist.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how he's taking care of the gums and maybe even a dentist, but I don't know. I feel like he would have been more specialized. I feel like Mad Dog would have gotten the extra, medical degree to be an orthodontist. So that's where I'm going. All right, Mick.
Well, and you're right. He's trying to extrate the teeth of Jim Brunzell without any Novocaine here.
What a good guy.
Look at, and the dog is smiling. With that one-toothed grin.
He knows he's doing the Lord's work right there.
That's it. Yeah, I mentioned this one time on the podcast. Well, they wanted me to play this role on the Jerry Springer show, but I think that Mad Dog Vachon would have been a perfect sex-starved televangelist. And, I think he missed his calling. And I mean, can't you just see that? I mean, the pardon the expression, the Oral Roberts of the world. But yeah, Mad Dog, he could have chosen a number of careers, but here he is clearly, as you said, practicing that dental work, trying to get back to those far back molars of jumping Jimmy Brunzell.
Hey, Mick,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to correct you, but you were a bit redundant there when you said sex-starved televangelist. Isn't that redundant?
Yeah, it really is. And thank you for pointing that out, grammar police.
So
no problem. I'm the authority on the grammar.
Oh, there's only one authority. Don't know gimmick infringement.
Book it. All right. So let me get this straight. You were asked to be a sex-craved televangelist on Jerry Springer.
That's correct. Yeah.
Oh my! So many questions. Can we start out the next show by you telling?
Yeah.
Can I submit a Q&A for next time, because I have to know how you were even.
Television imitates life, and it's very, very possible. A lot of doors opened. Were opening for me that you're not aware of. A lot got slammed in my face that you are aware of, but.
Let's oh my God. See, I have to know more about the sex craved televangelist for Jerry Springer. Yeah, but let's wrap it up here. We do have a few questions. We'll roll it over to next time. Let's give some shout outs and wrap up the business. Mick, why don't you go first?
Mario Salas and Jason Biaggi, the scourge of the internet. These two clowns are regular followers of not only the podcast, but also everything that we post online. I thought, what name could I give these guys that would, hearken to professional wrestling? And I think it's a variation on a theme, Crushed and Bruised, I think would be the name that I would give to Mario and Jason. Mario, I believe, is in Texas, or I don't know where the hell he is. I don't give a shit, to be honest with you. And Jason,
just subscribe. He doesn't care where you're at.
I care. And Jason Biaggi, you'll see Jason lurking around a lot of corners here in the upper Midwest and Twin Cities area. And so hats off to both Mario and Jason, the Stan and Ollie.
Mick doesn't give a shit about either one of you. By the way, just rep the podcast wherever you're at and then put the pictures on social media so we can post it. Thank you. Did I do that right?
Yeah, that's great.
All right.
Oh, man.
My shout out goes to Andrew Bulow. Work with Andrew periodically with a local indie wrestling group, MAW, and I give him a ton of shit every time.
As you should.
Well, I pretty much do that to everybody. It's terms of endearment. If I'm just nice to you, you know that I don't like you. If I give you shit, you think I don't like you.
God, you love Barry Dorsa then.
Well, there are exceptions to every rule, so just keep that in mind. So that'll leave you thinking who's under the mask, or maybe who's in the egg that's sitting on the stage. What is my obsession with the gobbledygooker this episode?
Why don't you put Andy over and quit talking about that? The guy in the eggshell.
Well, I'm talking about Andy. He's over because I give him shit, and so that means that I like the kid. He has no similarities with the gobbledygooker, but somehow I don't know, maybe it's that time of year. We're approaching, I don't know, whatever it is. But Andrew, you've got my shout out this week.
All right. I'm going to go with our buddy Skip Baszler. Love Skip, the father of the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler, who is an absolute gem of an individual. You can see where she gets it. Skip is he's a funny dude. He's a good dude. I think the world of Skip. Had a chance to meet him when I was in Sioux Falls, and I've been fortunate to still call him a friend. And Skip, man, you're one of the real ones. So thank you for supporting everything that I've done before the podcast and the podcast. And I know that you guys are big fans of Skip Baszler as well. So
great guy, funny as a stitch. Love Skip.
Skip's pretty cool. All right, are we done here? Anything else you guys want to say?
No, shit. We put the gobbledygooker over. Probably mentioned his name more times on this podcast than it's been mentioned in the last 30 years. And I think that's about enough.
Just wish we had a picture of him.
No, you don't.
Well, what a producer! No! What a producer! I tell you.
Oh, my God. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's not Terry Taylor, one of the all-time worst gimmicks in the history of professional wrestling outside of the three of us. Poor Hector.
Hold on. One of the all-time worst? Seriously? I'm putting that at the top as the worst gimmick ever in the business, period.
You remember that turkey with the pole shoved up his ass? That was no bargain either.
That was a main event compared to the gobbledygooker.
You know what else? Speaking of Polish and Slick, those are also bad gimmicks.